Hello. Welcome and thank you all for being here.
Cuando me fui a Palanquito, yo vi la vida en un hoyo. Me dediqué con mis hijos a sacar arena del arroyo. César Jiménez ya la creciente bajó. Vamos a sacar la arena para ganarnos para el arroz. Sigan mis hijos porque la vida es bonita. Sigan sacando la arena que eso no nos perjudica. Cuando el arroyo crece son cosas que yo lamento. Ahí dicen mis compañeros es otro día que yo pierdo. Sigan mis hijos, la vida vale la pena. Coge la pala, mami, vamos a sacar la arena. Ay, mi chale, porque la vida es bonita. Sigan sacando la arena que eso no nos perjudica.
This is a song about workers taking sand out of the bed of the rivers to sell it and make a living out of it. They sing about how life is beautiful, how life is worth the effort, even in an unhumanly strong task. They would say that even a badly paid job is a paid job, and they can take the pain. But towards the end of the song, they repeat one phrase and one phrase only until the end. Oh mother, the sun is going to kill me, my waist is hurting and I cannot walk anymore. Oh mother, the sun is going to kill me, my waist is hurting and I cannot walk anymore. Ay, Petronita, la arena me va a matar. Oh mother, the sun is going to kill me. Ya me duele la cintura, ya no puedo caminar. My waist is hurting and I cannot walk anymore. Ay, Petronita, la arena me va a matar. Ya me duele la cintura, ya no puedo caminar. Ay, Petronita, la arena me va a matar. Ya me duele la cintura, ya no puedo caminar. Ay, Petronita, la arena me va a matar. Ya me duele la cintura, ya no puedo caminar. Ay, Petronita, la arena me va a matar. Ya me duele la cintura, ya no puedo caminar. Ay, Petronita, la arena me va a matar. holding, about your voice crushed under the weight, about the words slipping your mind because you have to cope with the effort. It's a work about holding, especially when you're not white, especially when you're a foreigner, because those are two things that I know firsthand. But it could be about any kind of subalternity, any kind of weight you need to hold on. But the holding could mean many things. Me and these three together, we weigh around 100 kilograms. It's heavy. Because I want to share with you the image of how heavy it is. Even if it's only my body bending under the pressure of it, the tree trying to reach the ground in a material obsession with gravity, even if it has to cut across my body, even if it has to make a ballet out of me. Some people get used to the weights they carry, and they can make it look effortless. But I chose this big piece of wood because I don't want it to become effortless. I want to try sincerely to share with you how much it weighs, no more and no less. 3 years ago, after living autumn and winter in Chile, I came here and I relived autumn and winter. It was the first time I saw a whole year without spring. And I started thinking about carrying this tree in my shoulders as kind of a memory of my feeling, but also because of a story I learned when I was a child, a story that probably every Chilean kid knows. It's about how the Mapuche warrior, Caupolicán, was chosen to be a war chief of the Mapuche nation. His people would have to face the Spanish invasion first, then the colonial times, then the German settlers taking their lands, and constant conflict with the Chilean modern government. So it was going to be a battle for existence. Currently, this zone is still militarized. The leaders of the communities shot in the back, classified as criminals, disappeared, kidnapped, burned to ashes, and blown to the winds. This chronicle from the 16th century tells the test. It describes it as something very simple, to hold a tree on your shoulder for as long as possible. And they wrote that Caupolicán held it for 2 days and 2 nights. They described Caupolicán as a giant, blind on one eye, with scars on his face, in his body, a large creature of brown muscle, but muscle not as the white sculpture depicts it. Tone and form, teenaging, heroic, ripening. They meant large muscle on the thick skin. They write that he stands there for 2 days and 2 nights. He takes the tree with one hand, he places it on his shoulder, and he remains unbothered, looking into the night, looking into the day. Unrealistic feats of strength are part of an animalization process. In White Chronicles, the native never shows any quality of heroism or effort or sacrifice. They are racial monsters, unbothered by the weight and the pain, so what's the merit on that? The wild thing, the savage, is only as strong as wild things are. The other is a force of nature, an object of desire, or an object to be feared, but an object in the end. The test read as a feat of strength is not very interesting, because it does not matter how strong you are, eventually the weight crushes you to the ground. Personal strength is not really relevant because the human body is so finite. No holding can last forever. Yet read as a ritual of transformation, the holding can mean so much more. And the victory is not with the one who's strongest, but with the one who transforms the most. For me, by holding something dear against your chest. Some people can fight directly against what oppresses them. Some people can understand what the power expects from them and mimic it. Infiltrate institution, navigate it, parasite it. But there is also the kind of people that only have the strength to hold on, and holding on could be enough. Because you might not have the means to do something else, and you might not have the words, and holding can be enough, long enough, hard enough, and painful enough. And the holding of a tree transforms into a representation of the holding of it all. Under the weight, you are allowed to feel pain, you are invited to feel sadness, yet you are expected not to feel anger. Under the weight, you become slow, it becomes harder and harder to concentrate, you become angry, you try to find new ways to cope with the pain, and after all the hurting and holding, you're expected to do as if you're holding nothing, as if you're carrying nothing but your own choices. The fetishism in relations, the notion that we are equal and free subjects, it's a formality, hiding the persistence of relations of domination and servitude. Yet you hold, and you hold, and you hold. As a strategy for winning time, or as a way of resisting oppression. It can be a tool against a system that you cannot change but only endure, whether it is capitalism, colonialism, imperialism, sexism, racism, classism. And you hold, apparently doing nothing, as an invasive plant, as a tree holding a tree, until the things transform and the holding transforms you. Yes, you need to hold on. Yes, you gotta hold on. Yes, you gotta hold on. Yes, you gotta hold on. There must be somebody up above saying, come on, boy, you gotta get right on, you gotta hold on. Yes, you gotta hold on. When everybody's looking at you funny, you gotta hold on. Yes, you gotta hold on. And you want to hide away at home, but your all having a home depends on your capacity of remaining stable under the weight, of not letting go, of not screaming when you want to scream. If I were to be transformed into a tree, if I were to just stand in the forest, I would be declared illegal after 3 months. I will be chopped down and sent overseas. And it sounds like an ancient punishment, but that's what I mean with denial of a visa. A visa, as a colonial device, marks the difference between those who belong and those who don't. That's what I mean with the fetishism, the formality of freedom and equality. You are entitled to everything you were born with. You are entitled to everything You're entitled to wherever you were born at, whether it is a desert or a beautiful garden. Warum sind wir nicht als Bäume geboren, sagt Bottas? Denen das alles gleichgültig ist. That's the Luzon, the mission by Heiner Müller. Warum sind wir nicht als Bäume geboren, denen das alles gleichgültig ist? Describing a wide desire of remaining indifferent, in a play describing the futility of revolution. Revolution is the mask of death. Death is the mask of revolution. Revolution is the mask of death. It is easy to say that revolution makes no sense when you have no need for revolution. It is easy to say that violence makes no sense when you have no need for violence. It is easier to say that anger makes no sense when you don't have a reason to be angry. White hunger dried the land. It opened the earth. It took what it wanted. But you hold on. And no holding is forever. And it can be 20 minutes of felling a tree, or 2 days and 2 nights, or a year without spring, or 500 years of colonialism. There is no European modernity without a colonial system of oppression, because acceleration, modernity, demands the time of others, demands us a surplus of time, demands the bodies of others, a surplus of flesh. It demands the lands of others, a surplus of resources. As a strange-looking atlas, the global south holds up the north. White hunger plunders the earth, and the north does not forbid that these companies do this. They just forbid that they do it all. But don't worry, brown thing. Don't cry, brown thing. They will turn your land into a desert, but the white boys will teach you how to recycle. The white boys will teach you how to recycle. Whiteness is not a feature of the skin, it's a notion of the mind. It sustains ideological borders when not walls. Privilege has to do with power, not with color. Yet whiteness is a marker of privilege. Tongue, nationality, color, religion, traditions, they are all marker of privilege or the lack of it. An advice you would get when coming to Europe would be marry a white. First of all, because of practical reason, you get a visa, but also so you can make a race better, whiter, I mean. Because through cultural engineering, we have learned, and I mean my mother and my grandmother and my family, that whiteness is a manifestation of beauty, and beauty a manifestation of truth. Do people cross the street when they see you at night? The brown eye looks into the mirror and sees an object of little value. The white speech is there to praise the white. You learn me your language, and my profit on it is I know how to curse. The red plague greet you for lending me your language. That's the Tempest, Shakespeare, Caliban talking to his white master. The red plague greet you for lending me your language. I personally, I'm more Caliban than I am the white master. I am from the south. Pienso el sur, inmensa luna, cielo al revés. Busco el sur, su tiempo abierto y su después. Llego el sur como un destino del corazón. Soy del sur como los aires del In the inescapable holding, there is something to be transformed. As long as you don't forget that you're holding. As the sun workers of the song, they hold, and they try to be happy in their holding, until the holding destroys them. Because that's everything the holding could possibly do, destroy you. As a pathetic activity, as a Greek punishment. One could imagine Sisyphus to be happy, but what good would it make for him to happily push the rock over the mountain? I want to imagine him doing more than just that, more than just happily pushing, but reimagining the mountain, the stone, and himself. As Kaupulikan, not lifting the tree, but just holding it, and holding it, and holding it. You hold big things, small things, and nobody knows what you hold. It can be big things like your visa slowly expiring, or the fear of losing your house, of losing your home, your friends, your family, of being sent away. Or it can be small things when people ignore you, when Germans ignore you, and when other Germans try to convince you that they don't ignore you, or when they tell you that maybe they ignore you, but it's probably for some other reason, so they kindly invite you to think what else is wrong with you and with your friends when they are not hired, when they cannot make friends. When they are actively left outside. We want to believe that white people is just more comfortable talking with each other. We want to believe that it's not that companies don't want to hire foreigners, it's just that they need so much paperwork. We don't want to believe that the visas are denied without a reason. We just believe that they would rather have better people. And they feel comfortable deciding what better means. It's not that they're racist, they are just comfortable. It's not that they live comfortably, it's not that they want to live in a white supremacist society, but it is comfortable. It is comfortable. It is just comfortable. And you will hold, and you will be expected to feel angry, but you will be forbidden to feel rage, to feel angry again. But there is a level of anger that one needs to address, an adequate level of being angry, not about the past, about the present. A colonial thinker must never over-fixate in the past. The past is merely an historical reason for the condition of things. It's about the profit, the benefit, the privilege. It's about the cheap medication, the warm houses, the high minimum wage, the high standard of living, the free education, the funding for the arts, that even if cottage is so much more than what the rest of the world has to be happy with. Do you know that those things, those basic things are not normal everywhere out there? Do you know that the desert is growing out there? Do you know that you live in a blue bubble with painted stars on it? Do you know that the wealth of this continent does not come from a strategic position? It does not come from work ethics? It does not come from natural resources in this pseudo-continent? Because a continent, by definition, is a land surrounded by water, a big piece of earth surrounded by water. And Europe is not that. Europe is as much as a continent as the USA is a continent. It's the having of the right and the having of the things. And you would feel angry and you would be okay feeling angry. If a European were to hit you in the street, it would be better for you to just let them, because you can manage the bruises, but can you manage to have a police record? If God was never on your side, would the law be on your side? But this is about holding and holding and holding and holding and holding and holding. Not as a personal relation with strength, but as a collective act against power, against the things you cannot change. It's about holding and not trying to hide that you're holding, but showing it, carrying it in your shoulder, taking care of it. Take care of the tree until you learn to grow flowers on it. And you hold. And I can put the tree down now, but the holding will not be over. And I will put the tree down in a second, but the holding will not be over. And you hold, and you get desperate, and you say you want to stop, and you don't know where to go, but you hold, and it doesn't have to be forever, but you hold.
Yo vi de una zarzamora dándole combate a un río. Así es como se enamora tu corazón con el mío. Yo vi de una zarzamora dándole combate a un río. Anda muchacho a la casa y me trae la carabina yo pa' matar este gavilán que no me dé a la gallina yo. La luna me está mirando, yo no sé lo que me ve. Yo tengo la ropa limpia y el tarde la lavé. La luna me está mirando, yo no sé lo que me ve. Yo tengo la ropa limpia, yo tengo la ropa limpia y el tarde la lavé. Ayer tarde la lavé.